So, do you think it's possible for people to get away with things in the long run, or even in the medium run? I would say, in my experience, it's not. Time will tend to catch up with most people who have done bad things. So I'm at the riverside today. This is near the mouth of the river, the main river that runs out into the sea in Porry, and it's actually, apparently, I don't know if this is true or not, I've just been told this is the river Cockermackie, and it's apparently the widest river estuary in Europe. It goes on for another couple of miles, that way, before it hits the sea. But yeah, already here it's pretty big. So anyway, I'm not going to be talking about that. What I have been thinking about is, well, many things, but how normies, they talk about The Matrix, the film, and they've been heavily influenced by this. And then these other kind of people, I remember there was one at school who was, I think she went to either Oxford or Cambridge anyway, and she once did a discussion group with the sixth formers, like, are we living in a simulation? And so this is sort of mainstream Normieville, but as you know, I'm not mainstream Normieville. So what's my twist on this, in connection with the theme of this video, which is you don't get away with anything in this life. Well, let's imagine that you've created an absolutely fantastic party venue. Maybe it was some sort of holiday villa, and you wanted to take some of your mates on holiday or throw this fabulous party. What I'm asking you is that, would you want to invite absolutely everyone? Like, realistically, you wouldn't, would you? Because there's always some people who, unfortunately, just, they've got a self-destruct button, and they would just cause arguments and maybe steal stuff, or cause havoc in some way. So you wouldn't invite everybody. I think most people would agree on that. You wouldn't invite everybody, because a small minority of idiots could mess things up for the majority. So an idea for you here, rather than the world that we're living in being an artificial simulation or something, maybe the world that we're living in now was created, rather than being a random accident. Something went bang. We don't know what went bang. We don't know what made it go bang. And then we all evolved from bits of slime, and then it became a tadpole, and then it became a zebra, and then it became a chimpanzee, and then us. Anyway, what I'm trying to get at here is that maybe what we're living through here on Earth is a giant test of us, and the prize is that you get to go to the fantastic party venue afterwards, after your life here is over and you've been deemed to be a suitable guest. Maybe that is what's been ascertained here, is whether you're a worthy guest. Using a sporting analogy, are you going to make the final cut? So that might seem brutal, but I think that's probably what this is all about, our lives, and what you can see with your eyes in front of you now. It's something that's very beautiful, but it's been created for a purpose. And the purpose, as I say, it's a giant test bed to ascertain who is going to be able to move on to a place that's even better than this. So I know, like cultural Christians, they'll be sort of saying, no, 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 no. That was like the Old Testament God. After Jesus, anything goes. You can do anything that you want to do, be as bad as you want, and there's no consequences. Now that's certainly what the corrupted Church of England, Catholic Church, over here in Finland, the Lutheran Church, that's what they want you to believe. That there's no consequences for wrongdoing. Which, if you think about it, has actually encouraged people to do wrong things. You know, if there are no consequences, people are more likely to do things that they shouldn't do. So I know that there's atheists and other people who they've never read the Bible, but they've got very strong opinions about Christianity, in particular, and most other religions, in the sense that they see them as social control mechanisms, which is basically another one of these arguments that's being constructed by the powers that shouldn't be, the establishment. And the message there is that you don't need God. All you need is the government, and trust the science. So what's actually in the Bible? Well, let's have a look at a few things. So these are all the words of Jesus Christ, yeah? So this isn't Old Testament stuff, this is New Testament. So this is from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 13, verse 47, and it's called the parable of the net. So Jesus says, also the kingdom of heaven is like this. Some fishermen throw their net out in the lake and catch all kinds of fish. When the net is full, they pull it to shore and sit down to divide the fish. The good ones go into their buckets. The worthless ones are thrown away. It will be like this at the end of the age. The angels will go out and gather up the evil people from among the good, and will throw them into the fiery furnace, where they will cry and grind their teeth. So your life then, it's not just a bit of fun, you know, it's the nihilists who say that life is all a bit pointless. They've got it wrong. This matrix simulation, if that's what you want to call it, you can call it the world and your life. It's a high stakes game, and the penalties for getting things wrong and for being a bad person and going along with stuff that you shouldn't go along with couldn't be higher. So by some distance, the Bible is the best-selling book of all time, and if you read it, one of the 4 Gospels will do you. It's like maybe 2 hours work, something like that, to read it through. We've been given some pretty firm ideas about what is expected of us, and those of us who don't make that final cut, there are some severe consequences, the most severe consequences that you could imagine. Not that you're going to be taught that in a conventional school or church, because those institutions have been taken over and corrupted by Satan, by the devil. Some people might laugh at that. Oh, you sound like a nutter, you know. Well, what I would say to people is, think about the last 3 years and tell me that evil doesn't exist. And evil down here is tolerated because it's part of the assessment program. It's part of the test that we're all being put through. You know, like for example, are you prepared to accept money to kill people? Are you prepared to turn a blind eye to other people doing that? Are you prepared to take money to support a situation where people are locked up in their own homes and children are denied a proper childhood? Are you prepared to accept money and not have to work for a period so that you can enjoy all of those things and sod the children, or like old people who die alone? Did you speak up and publicly say no to all of this? Or did you just conform, go along with it to get along? Again, what I'm going to say is that you don't get away with anything in this life. Things that you've done, or things that you haven't done that you should have done, or things that you've said, or things that you should have said but didn't say at the time because you took the wide route and went in through the wide gate. So if you have done things that you shouldn't have done, or failed to do things that you should have done over the last 2 or 3 years or previously in your life, you need to kind of repent. You need to say sorry for what you've done and make your peace with God and apologise for what you've done. And I know there'll be some people who say, well, yeah, we're all sinners. And I would agree with that. Yeah, we are all sinners. We've all done stuff wrong. But I think some people have done some very, very bad things. In fact, downright evil things over the last 3 years. You know, the last 3 years was a monumental test of everybody. And many people are not going to make the cut, which again backs up which is, you know, the verses from the Bible that I quoted the other day, you know, about the way into heaven is through the narrow path, through the narrow gate, and not many people manage to get through. Most people take the path of least resistance, and they don't do too well in this matrix simulation, if you want to call it that. So yeah, that's my final message basically, is that if you've messed up over the last 3 years and you've done some really bad things, I'm thinking NHS GPs in particular, people that were involved in the Britney Spears and the Boosters concerts, they need to in particular make their peace with God and repent, and also start speaking truthfully now about what they did and also what they saw. So that's all that I want to say today. So God bless and goodbye from sunny Finland. We've got a lovely day today. The sun's really warm, but we've got this north wind, so that's why I've got my jacket on. It's probably only about 15 degrees, but you can easily get zapped by the sun in this type of weather. Anyway, so God bless.